Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dreams Unlimited Travel Podcast. My name is John Magi, and I'll be your host. And in this episode, we're going to give you our top tips for Disney's newest private island, Lookout Cay. I am joined at the table, at the virtual table, by our panel of experts, Dreams Unlimited Travel agent and DCL fan panelist, podcast panelist, Elaine Edwards.
Hi, friends.
Dreams Unlimited travel agent and Diz Unlimited podcast panelist, Hannah Anderson.
Hey, hey.
And our executive producer, Craig Williams.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Just a little preamble I'd like to do. For those of you who know our shows and watch our other channels, you know that Craig is no longer with our organization, but we are pre-recording these shows before Craig leaves, so that's why you're seeing his smiling, beautiful face for our shows, and we appreciate him working with us to get our couple of shows out while he's still our executive producer. All right, so I want to talk about Lookout Cay. We want to talk about our tips for this newest of Disney's private island. We should, I guess, clear the decks and let folks know that many of us were invited on this cruise. It was a preview cruise, the first with Disney Cruise Line guests experiencing the island. Personally, I was not part of the invited genre. I was invited, but I chose to pay for my own room, so I can bash it all I want. No, just kidding. But that's our dynamic here. We've got Elaine and Hannah were invited as part of our travel agency, and Craig was invited as part of media, but I have paid for my stateroom myself. So let's get into it. I'm going to go right to Elaine, and I'm going to say, Elaine, what's your first tip for Lookout?
So my first tip is something that I saw that was completely unique. It is not at Castaway, but we didn't see this until the end that we were getting back on the tram to leave. But right when you get to the off the tram, there was a station that had all of these wagons and strollers, and they were free. They did not cost anything to use them for the day. And I know that on the cruise after ours, they actually moved them up to right when you got off the ship so that you could use them to get there. And I think that is a fantastic idea. Like I said, that you can use to put your stuff in, load your kids in, and it's completely free. Like, they could have charged us for that, but it's free.
That's really cool. You know, it's funny. Like I mentioned on another show, we didn't get off the boat until later, until after the big crowds went. So those weren't available at that time. So, you know, you kind of first come, first serve for those, I assume. I don't know if Disney's going to replenish them throughout the day and sort of bring them back. Elaine, do you know for the folks now who are getting them as they get off the ship, are they have to forfeit them at the tram station, or are they able to bring them with them to the rest of the island?
That I'm not sure about. Like I said, we saw them once you are in the main part of the island is where we saw them, so that you forfeited them before you got back on the tram to leave. However, now that they've moved them up, I'm not sure how that works. So,
yeah, I mean, we have to keep in mind this is a new place, ever changing. Disney's making tweaks and adjustments daily. We saw between our cruise and the next cruise a whole bunch of changes. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's awesome that they offer that service. Hannah, how about you? What's your first tip for folks going to Lookout?
Yeah, so I just to piggyback off of that, I did see that who knows how consistent it is, but obviously, like, you can't bring the wagon on the tram that they provide, first come, first serve. So for me, I would, because I have a 2-year-old who's very stroller dependent, I would probably bring a travel stroller with me, something that I could fold up into the tram. And then that way I knew that I had a way to get him, to and from the tram. And even once we were on the island, I would probably do that. But I guess, have a unique tip, I would say that I would pack a little bit differently for Lookout Cay. So I would make sure that you have comfortable shoes for the walking, and not just obviously the pier to get to the island, but also once you're on the island, there are lots of boardwalks to get everywhere. So I would make sure you have comfortable shoes. I would also probably bring a personal fan, either for yourself or for your little one. And then I feel like most people do this now, but I think that bringing a reusable water bottle on a cruise is so useful. I know you're thinking like, I don't want to pack the stainless water bottle or whatever, but being able to refill it, before you get off the ship, and then once you're on the island is so important because, hello, you're on an island in the Bahamas. It's going to be hot. You're going to want to drink lots of water. So I think those things, and then just because it is, a little bit more of a walk and there are more activities like the splash pad, the parade, the show, the stage show, the Junkin' Craft that they have. I would maybe try to bring like a backpack or something so you're not so weighted down. It's a little bit different when you're going to a Disney destination. That they're going to have beach chairs and amenities for you. But, typically when I think of like a beach day with my family, it's like, just think about all the stuff, like I've got sunscreen, I've got change of clothes, and I've got whatever. I would maybe try to bring a backpack or something that you can kind of get around a little bit easier with. So, and hello from my dog.
I was just going to say we had a surprise
special guest. Yeah, he
that.
doesn't have any tips. I left him at home. So.
Oh, how sad.
He doesn't. I know.
My tip is kind of piggybacks on your tip. This is an island in the Bahamas, and it is hot. And there is not a lot of shade yet. And it's kind of a little bit, for those of us who don't do well in the heat and the sun, it's a little brutal. But once you get to the tram area, once you get off the ship and you've done the walk and you get to the tram area, there is a little bit of shopping there that is kind of really smart and welcome. Like you can buy sunscreen. You can buy hats. First thing I did was, I'm going to show you my hat. I bought a hat, and I don't usually wear hats. So I was very excited about this thing. I don't know how to work a camera. And they had a tote bag that if you had all your stuff and you thought, oh, shoot, I forgot my bag, I could buy a tote bag. However, the thing I was most impressed about, there was a place you could buy drinks, but there was a gentleman selling bottled water. And you could buy a cooler, Disney themed cooler, full of ice with drinks for a fairly reasonable price. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it wasn't outrageous. And this was something that you could bring with you the rest of the day and have cold water for you to drink. So I thought all of that was very well thought out to be sort of the first thing you do when you get off and you're ready to start your day on the island. Grab your sunscreen, grab your bottle of water, and get going for the day. All right, Elaine, how about you? You got another tip for us?
So piggybacking off of what Hannah was saying about packing, I'm going to tell you something that I am not going to pack the next time that I go to Lookout. Every time people talk about things that they pack for Castaway, I tell them at the very top of their list is water shoes, because the beaches at Castaway, even the further you get away from the ship, the worse that it gets. But in Serenity Bay, it is absolutely horrible as far as the rocks that are in the water and all of the seaweed and all of that, that my feet get completely torn up at Castaway if I'm not wearing water shoes. That is not needed for the beach at Lookout, because the sand was completely powdery. The water was crystal clear. There was no seaweed. It was free of all objects. And that was fantastic because I don't want to wear those ugly water shoes, but it was great. So that is something I'm not going to pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely different feel for the beach there. It's like you said, the sand's soft and pristine. So that's an excellent tip. Hannah, what about you? You got another tip for us?
I do. I would definitely prioritize Rush, a Junkanoo celebration. I know we've talked about it at length, but to me, this is, don't miss it. Make a point to see it. I know, even though my son, who's 2, is not on the cruise with me, that would be a highlight even for him. Just with the colorful costumes and the music and the dancing, and of course our Disney friends that are there too. I would just, it would be heartbreaking for me to think about somebody going to Lookout Cay and not seeing that, not having that experience. So I would definitely make that a priority to see, honestly, at least once. And then, as we've mentioned before, I like being able to just watch it as a parade, which starts kind of over by the tram stop and by the gift shops, and makes its way to the Goombay Cultural Center. So yeah, I would plan to see that at least once on your stop, because that is something completely unique that you're going to want to do, every time you visit.
I didn't specifically go and try to find it, but I experienced the parade just because it kind of went past me. So
Right.
That was a cool experience. It was kind of like, oh, this thing is happening. Let me stop and pay attention and, take some pictures and get some video of it. So I think that's an interesting thing, is that it sort of happens in and around, various areas on the island. It's not like, oh, you've got to go wait for the 3 o'clock parade. Let me stake out my spot.
Yeah, well, Hannah did bring up a good point in general, though, of saying prioritizing. I think a top tip is to think about what you want to do on Lookout Cay and prioritize that. When you think about it, you're like, oh, I have so much time on the destination. It's going to be completely okay. But, it can be difficult if you don't plan for what you want to do. So like with the seating for True 2 Barbecue and the other one, True 2, I'm never gonna get those right in Serenity Bay. The seating areas, you have like 5 pavilions at the one, 4 at the other, and then Serenity doesn't have a ton of seating. So if you don't prioritize lunch first, there were a lot of people on our cruise that couldn't find seating at all, and they just had to wait until people were getting up. I can't imagine how much that was even more of a disaster with the Disney Fantasy, which holds a lot more people. So if dining is a huge thing for you and you don't want to wait until the very end of service, I would be there waiting for them to open up those windows and grab your food right away, so that way you have seating. A lot of people on the Fantasy as well too were saying there is just not enough beach chairs, and I still want to get more information on what this means, because Lookout Cay is completely different from Castaway in terms of how the beach chairs are set up. If you're talking about being right on the ocean, there are not a lot of beach chairs at Lookout. They are trying to minimize impact as much as possible on the actual beach, so there's just not a lot right down by the water. However, they also have placed a bunch of beach chairs kind of in the dunes section of the sandy beach. So you still have a ton of chairs, but if you want to be right in front of the water, then I would rush to stake your claim to that. Hannah said she rushed to go to the merchandise first in that way too. So think about what your priorities really are, and I would say make them actual priorities, because things apparently are filling up pretty quickly, and you don't want to be like, oh, I came all this way for this beach and I couldn't find a chair, so now I guess I'll just stand all day. I don't know what you would do in that case, but it's something to keep in mind.
Be on the lookout is what you have to be.
Oh,
because that's the name of the island. I'm going to go to my tip for the shopping, actually. As Craig mentioned that Hannah rushed to get to the shopping. When I was there, it was insane. Okay, I mean, it was just a madhouse. People were grabbing, armfuls of things, and I don't even know if they looked at what they bought, and we're getting in line, and we're waiting hours in line to pay. Speaking with, again, Chris Vorbeck, I keep mentioning him. He's on another cruise right now. He said what he found interesting was as he came off the island, and it was the end of the day, that the shops were empty. There weren't a lot of people in the shops, and that he was able to, or was it you, Craig? Someone said it. Maybe it was Craig. And
it was me. It was me because the Dreams agents were all the first ones to rush there. And then I went to the shop. It was maybe not the very last thing I did, but close to the last. And unless they just were missing like merchandise that sold out immediately, everything that I saw when I passed by the shop the first time was still there. And I saw basically every single size that you could possibly want for it. But I know that I've received blowback from the Dreams agents on that one, and they're all telling me I'm a liar. I don't know if that's because they waited way too long in a line and it helps them sleep at night, saying, nope, the sizes weren't there. I was justified in it. I think that's what the case is.
Hold on. I need to speak my piece because he is trying to not so subtly refer to me. So we were on that preview cruise, and I'm a merch girly, and I was stressed about not getting the merch, and people were like, just like John said, snatching it up. So how do you commemorate that you went to the island? You snatch up some merch. But I will say, to his point, when we went later in the day, there was no one in the shop, and I think. So in my experience, the things that I were looking at, some of the sizes were gone. However, they pretty much had everything. And I'm assuming later cruises will have even more stock. So I think moving forward, you are probably good on that. You can probably wait until the end of the day, unless, as John mentioned, you want to get a hat to wear at the beach that day, or if there's something you're just dying to get, you can just wait. So, we both win. Okay.
All right.
They were definitely restocking, though. They were restocking throughout the afternoon because we saw them pulling out boxes and restocking. So it's not to say that if you get there right away and you see a shirt, it's not your size, check back later, because I saw more stuff that I didn't see the first time just because the shop was empty and they had restocked it all.
It's like anything else with Disney when something new is happening. Everybody rushes and they want it and they gobble it up. Disney's smart. They know that if they make stuff, people are going to buy it. So they're going to make as much of it as they can, and then it winds up in the character outlets. But that is, that's part of their strategy. So I apologize, Craig, because it was you. We were having dinner. And you mentioned that to me, and I thought that was a great point. Try not to freak out and buy, bags and bags and bags of stuff that you have to then lug with you the rest of your time on the island. Swinging back to Elaine. Elaine, do you have another tip for us?
Okay, so on that shopping tip, if you are there and you wish you were at Castaway instead of Lookout, you can buy Castaway t-shirts in those Lookout shopping. I'm kidding. That's not really my tip, but it was true.
But that's good to know.
While we were talking about, there was a lot of Castaway shirts. Wow. There was a lot of Castaway shirts for sale. I'm assuming it is just because not all of the merch has come in. Disney is notorious for getting merch in on time. And so I am hoping that there's just more coming, and they had to just fill some holes. Okay, so something that is different is that this is just a beach destination on a peninsula of a much larger island. So something that is really cool is that they do offer excursions. If you are not a sit on the beach all day kind of person, but you want to actually do stuff, there are a large number of very unique excursions that you can take that are back in the island that are historical, adventure, nature, like whatever you like. There is a very large number of things that you can do that is different than Castaway, that is just, you know, you can ride the banana boat or you can parasail and that's it. So check out the excursion list if that's something you're interested in.
I think it's fun that you're trying to avoid saying the name of the actual island.
Say it, Elaine.
I say everybody knows what it is, and everybody knows I say it wrong. So.
Exactly. That's why I'm just referring to it as Lookout. I'm tired of either saying Lookout Key or Lookout Cay and someone correcting me. So now it's just Lookout from now. All right, switching over to Hannah. Hannah, got another tip for us?
Well, you know, when you're on Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point on the island of Eleuthera in the Bahamas.
Gold star for Hannah. Gold star for Hannah.
I know. I'm sorry. And I only got if I had to do it again, I wouldn't get it right. But so my tip would be I felt like so lunch is only served for 2 hours, which is how it is at Castaway too. But I noticed that I think all of the bars throughout close 2 hours before getting back on board, and I don't know if that was just our cruise thing, but that's one of those things to keep in mind. I would have liked a cold refreshment walking back to the tram, and they were closed. So just kind of maybe ask cast members when you're there, hey, what time does this bar close? You know, just maybe reaffirm what the hours of lunch are, because like you don't want to miss out on that if you're enjoying the water and lose track of time as one does. So yeah, just be sure to ask what time those amenities close.
Piggybacking on that, I mentioned this on another show. Kevin and I went back to the ship and we had lunch in Cabanas, and Cabanas closes. So, you've got to time that just right. If you're the type of person who does want to go back and cool off and relax for a little bit and then maybe head back out on the island, you got to be wary of how long that's going to be available to you. However, the other cool thing was other stuff on the ship was open. Craig mentioned on another show the shawarma that they had, that was available. Daisy's, where they had sandwiches, was open. So there were places where you could get food on the ship, but again, Cabana's closed. So keep that in mind when you're planning. All right, Elaine, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to go one more round here. Do you have one more tip for us?
Can I say two?
Sure.
Actually, I want to say three, but it's like little mini tips. Right. Off of what you said, we said this on an show, but I want to say it here. What they served in Cabanas was the exact same thing that they served on the island. So if you are wanting that island lunch and the unique things that they're serving there, but maybe you want to go back and cool off, or maybe your child needs a nap or something like that, you can experience that in Cabanas. And then the other mini tip is that with the bars, something that I thought that was really cool is all of the drinks they were serving was in these like metal insulated cups. So it kept everything very cold. And I thought that was awesome. And it reduced all of the paper waste that you have. And then for my actual real tip, one of the biggest questions that we've been getting is, what did they hide underwater? What did they hide underwater? What do you get to see when you're snorkeling? Absolutely nothing. So they purposefully did not put any man-made items under the surface of the water for you to discover. They want you to enjoy the natural coral and the reef and any kind of fish that you can see and that kind of thing. The snorkel, it's not any sort of separate section or anything like that. It is the same place you are swimming. So if that does not sound exciting, look at everybody's lower half while you're underwater, then save your money and don't rent that equipment.
Gotcha. So are there any natural reefs? I would think there'd be something natural under there.
There is a little bit under there that I know that people saw, and I know I think on one of Craig's videos he put his phone or the camera under the water and you could see a little bit of that. So there's a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, there. So I will piggyback on that. They were there, and people were enjoying it. But I know the wildlife that you could find in the water was just kind of varying on when you went in the water and where you were at. Because I had a bunch of friends say that they saw stingrays and other sea creatures, and like I saw like just the smallest, tiniest fish. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with Elaine fully about it. Like, if you just have your own, bring that. Maybe renting it isn't as worthwhile as it is with Castaway, but you know that you could have the chance of seeing something. So I guess it's really, do you want to put money forward and then see nothing and be disappointed, or take the chance? So I don't. Maybe just bring it from home. You can probably get something cheaper on Amazon, and it's just a little bit extra to add to your bag.
What do we know anything about it? Are they planning on doing anything like a statue of Mickey or something, or they just decide it's all going to be because of the environment?
Yeah, they are trying to minimize environmental issues as much as possible. So that's like with everything they've done on the island in general. In the part that they're leasing from the Bahamas, I believe they've only had an impact to 17% of it. And the idea is to not get any more destructive than that. So none of that's going to ever be part of it. But, you know, it's even with Castaway, I feel like it's one of those things, you do it a couple times and then you slowly stop doing it the more you visit there. So it's a cool little novelty, but I also enjoy the natural elements of Lookout Cay.
And the lesson here is the environment ruins everything. Just screwed it all up for us. We can't have any fun. All right, Hannah, I'm going to you. You're going to have the last tip or tips. You got one or a couple? What do you got?
All right, I got one. This is a shout out to all you parents out there doing the best you can and trying to have some fun too. I think, so we don't always have the luxury of traveling with, you know, our parents or extra family members for, you know, all hands on deck. And I do love Serenity Bay. That is my happy place, both at Castaway and now at Lookout. So here's your tip. The splash pad area, Scuttles Cove and Rush Out, Gush Out. There's two awesome areas for kids. If you have a kid, you know, splash pads are awesome. Like, kids don't even need a whole theme park. They just need a splash pad. So if I was going to do this again, my little family of 3, I would say, hey, you go hang out, you know, this is me talking to my husband, go hang out with Owen at the splash pad for an hour, give mama, or 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't care. And then I am going to take that boardwalk right down to Serenity Bay, and I'm going to have some me time, and then we can trade out. So then that way everybody wins. And the beauty of Lookout Cay is that everything is pretty close. So it wouldn't be that hard to be like, hey, can I just have 30 minutes to go enjoy it myself? So I would say, you know, make that, if you've got little kids and they like splash pads, they probably do, then, you know, make that a priority and use it to your advantage. Use that as a way to, you know, get to enjoy Serenity Bay or have some you time.
Excellent. Great tips, everybody. I'm sure as we visit more, I'm sure as we go back to Lookout, we'll come back with more tips. But I think the biggest tip I can give you is that you should book your cruise with Dreams Unlimited Travel. When you book with Dreams Unlimited Travel, you will receive a shipboard credit. You'll get our What You Didn't Know You Needed gift bag, and you'll get the expertise of one of our agents who can help you plan your entire cruise, your entire vacation, and help you with your visit to Lookout or any of the destinations where Disney travels. Looking for a Disney Cruise Line expert? You can reach out to Elaine at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, or Hannah at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, or you can write to me, John at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com, and I will get you to an agent. Elaine, Hannah, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I truly appreciate it.
Always
thank you, John.
Craig, thank you for being here, for being part of these shows before you leave us. just want to say we wish you the best. And I am sure that we will be seeing you again somewhere, sometime.
I really hope so. John, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the support over the years. I cannot say how much I appreciated it. And, you know, I will gladly be able to now become a client of Dreams Unlimited Travel. So that's exciting for me.
Who are you going to pick, Hannah or Elaine?
No favorites.
He's definitely. Oh no, he's definitely not picking me.
I'll join the queue and see who I'm assigned.
Oh please!
You're definitely not picking Hannah. I get it. I understand.
You know, actually, I think he's going to have a harder time figuring out which of his agents want to work with him. So, you know,
technically, I already have an agent. I believe I'm assigned to, but I'm not going to say who it is.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. All right. Thank you guys very much for this. Thank you, everybody at home, for listening and watching. We hope you have a great week, and we hope you have a great vacation.